fucking great. Love you. Loving you. Loving you. Hi, Grammy Heather. Hi, GM Flower. Can you hear me? Linda, Tree Hugging Buddhist? Yeah, we are. We're going somewhere. But my phone's gonna fall off. I can't believe all of the wild variables, okay? The wild variables of live streaming. You would not believe it. They are unpredictable. Like, you can't predict them. So anyway, this is Lincoln Way, the main drag in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and we are here in Cheyenne, Wyoming at a time when the summer festival Frontier Days is going on. So I'm going to drive around a little bit. It's a little early today to see like any of the rodeos or anything like that, but I'm just going to go down here and check it out, and then go on a hike near my house, this place near my house, which gives you the feeling of the grittiness of Cheyenne. Grittiness with the, I don't know, the scrub brush and the plains and the whole western thing, you know, that is Wyoming. Well, eastern Wyoming, southeastern Wyoming. So today's topic, though, first of all, hi, I'm Alonzo at alonzosblog.com. I was 16 years in Scientology, 15 years in Anti-Scientology, and now I've been 10 years out of both, writing and vlogging about each. So I am going to talk about gatekeeping in Anti-Scientology, because it is a thing, and it became a thing. Oh God. We're going to have to stop at the park here, and I'm going to have to stabilize this. But it became a thing on the ex-Scientologist message board when Mike Rinder, Karen de la Carriere, Jeffrey Augustine, and all the other int-base escapees escaped from int-base and began taking control of all the places where Scientology was being discussed on the internet. And the way they did it was by this kind of a morality type thing, where I don't think you're moral enough to be part of to be a voice in the anti-Scientology community. And it is an amazing, it's amazing how well that has worked throughout its existence. So the first time I ever ran into it, this is a park near my house, by the way. The first time I ever ran into it, it had to do with the actual people that were running the ex-Scientologist message board. One of them, named an Australian guy named Kevin Mackey, was a moderator there. And he called me up. You know, I was talking to all those guys all the time, and he called me up to tell me that Aaron Saxton, who was I think it was a Kiwi, I think he was from New Zealand originally, but he had been at Int Base. He was an ex-Sea Org member, and he had been at Int Base, and he had been a really loud and important voice at various protests. in Sydney and elsewhere. You can still see him with a bullhorn outside of the Sydney org. Just, letting them have it with a lot of experience. Once again, a lot of experience, very eloquent, etc. And so during this phone call with Kevin Mackey, a moderator at ESMB, he let me know that they had had a talk with Aaron Saxton, and they told him that he really shouldn't be a voice as a protester or really anywhere else in the anti-Scientology community. And what's so funny about this is that the reason he shouldn't be a voice, that Kevin told me, and that they had sat down and talked with him, and Karen Daly Carriere was all part of it. They had all coordinated with Karen about, I don't know, the moral standards necessary to be a critic of Scientology. And Kevin said that Aaron had told him that before he was in Scientology, he was a pimp. He spent some time pimping out women, okay? Now, we're not going to talk about the moral standing of Karen de la Carriere here, okay? But this thing, Kevin told me, disqualified him, basically, from being able to be part of the community. And he was gone. Like, he was gone. Like, I didn't hear from him again. I never saw him at a protest. I didn't even see him write posts on the ESMB board anymore. He was his moral character was just too low to be a critic of Scientology, and he was gone. And I just thought, I'm like, Kevin, what are you talking about? I mean, this guy was cleared for Ant Base. He was in HCO at Ant Base, and they have all these qualifications, and they do all these very thorough background checks on people. And Aaron somehow passed all these background checks, even though he was a pimp. He had spent time as a pimp. But then again, Karen de la Carriere had passed all those background checks with her past as well, to the point where she worked at OSA Ant for 5.5 years and was even married to the president of the Church of Scientology. So this gatekeeping, these moral qualifications that people must have to be a member, a voice in the community, is something they've been running for a long, long time. And the last, we know, the last one is Louis Repetto. Again, highly experienced, highly eloquent voice in the Scientology community. And he was, like, for instance, Nora brags about how she'd, gotten this information about these dick pics were being sent around to all these people, and she needed to get to the bottom of this, like somebody's ethics officer, like the ethics officer for the community, right? The master at arms. And so she got, Louis on the phone, and he just told her everything. He said, yeah, I send dick pics, I do this, I do that. And Nora is completely just horrified by all this, supposedly. Or actually, she's kind of funny when she was relating the story. But she bragged about how, Louis, you gotta understand, this is, you need to get off the internet. You need to get out of here. And he did. See? And so this moral gatekeeping, it really works. And it does silence. It is a way of getting rid of important voices, important critics in the anti-Scientology community. Aaron Smith Levin is constantly talking to us about what's good for the community and what's bad for the community. And look at his moral character, okay? Like, these people are freaking hilarious. And yet, this argument gets in people's heads, and they never question, like, what are you talking about, Aaron? What are you talking about, Nora? Who are you to be this ethics officer, this MAA, Master at Arms, just like in a Scientology organization, where we're all being handled on the moral character of who can be in the community and who can't be. Like, and nobody really questions it. No one has like said, Aaron, what the fuck are you talking about? What's good for the community? Why are you like good for the community? And he would probably answer, well, I have a foundation that helps people when they leave Scientology. But first we interview them for any possible lawsuits or criminal indictments they want to wage against against the executives of the Church of Scientology. And we also have them, do a full interview process. And then we have them sign all kinds of waivers and NDAs, so they can't talk about any of the process that we are using to get them assistance or to deny them assistance, because there have also been many people who've been denied assistance as well after these interviews. And of course the NDA says you can't talk about the interview and what was said in the interview. So you talk about gatekeeping, okay? I mean, this is amazing. And then, the same arguments are being delivered against the DOA, that because he protested and the Church of Scientology, got all these misdemeanors and even felonies charged with him, well, his moral character is absolutely too low to be a member of the community. And yet his moral character is probably strong, as far as I'm concerned, all right, as a guy who does stuff because he knows that it's the right thing to do, and he gets it done for others, not just for himself, but for others. That's very moral, very moral. And so when he has these court cases, he's also revealing to all of us how these court cases work. And that's also because he cares about the community and the legal vulnerabilities that members of the community face when they go up against the Church of Scientology. He is providing a very good service to the community. So, Kevin Mackey is no longer around, that I can tell. He might have a bunch of anonymous accounts. Karen de la Carriere has really kind of gone into the background. I don't see her putting out much content anymore. Jeffrey Augustine is still around, and Jeffrey Augustine is still sending his back channel emails about Gerry Armstrong to all kinds of people, and his lines of argumentation are ending up on various channels that I am observing and that I will be addressing in the future. But Gerry Armstrong is like kind of bulletproof, and it's going to be easy to counter what Jeffrey Augustine is telling Nora behind the scenes, etc., etc. So Kevin Mackey's no longer around, but Aaron Smith Levin is around, and he's here to tell us, what the community needs and what the community doesn't need in terms of moral standing for the members of the community, as he has a wife and a mistress and a whole bunch of girlfriends, and he throws women into walls. I mean, really, who is this guy? And why aren't more people questioning this when they hear Aaron Smith Levin talk about what's good for the community? Why aren't more people questioning him? Really? And so, so anyway, this is I woke up this morning just like, oh my, are you fucking kidding me? Because if that really is the basis of all this, for Nora to be bragging about how she got rid of Louis Repetto after he confessed to her as the ethics officer all of his sexual overts, okay, and she did a handling on him, an ethics handling, and she bragged about how she got rid of him. Now, she probably wasn't the one to get rid of him, but she has a kind of delusion that she operates under where she believes that if it's inside of her head, then it must be true. You know, Nora has the lowest level of ability to tolerate doubt of anyone I've run across in a long time. Like, she has an idea in her head and she's 100% certain about the veracity of that idea, and she never once doubts it. And she puts it out onto her channel, and she's got too many people who just swallow it uncritically, I'm telling you. And once again, this is like the main thing that really bothers me, is when people are swallowing things from people without critical thinking. It's the major mistake I made as a Scientologist. And it's that one thing that I want to, fight. And ever since I got out, I've wanted to fight it. Like, are you kidding me? We were all in Scientology. We never, when L. Ron Hubbard said that the reactive mind is a fact, it's just a fact. When he had been saying that it was a model for the mind, and then all of a sudden it becomes a fact, and no one questioned it, including me. See? So I got this thing. If there is any kind of a crusade I am on, it's don't swallow what these people are telling you, including me, without any critical thinking. This is the capital of the state of Wyoming, y'all. The equality state, where women were first given the right to vote, and all kinds of other stuff. Did you see the guy in the cowboy hat? Maybe I should go back around. Guy in the cowboy hat and cowboy boots, in a suit coat, sitting there talking to a woman in front of the Capitol. Wyoming, baby. Wyoming. I really like it. Every Sunday morning, there is a family, a little nuclear family. Guy in a cowboy hat, cowboy boots, and in his Sunday best, walking down the street with his wife behind him. He's got one of those bolo ties, and his wife behind him with their 2 kids in tow, and they're walking to church. And it reminds me of like a Utah kind of thing, but it's not. I mean, this is Wyoming, and there are a bunch of Mormons and Mennonites and other Christian sects here, seeking religious freedom here in Wyoming. But what's really interesting to me is that this state is different. It has its own culture, or at least it has a culture that I didn't grow up with, and so it's new to me. It's unique to me, I guess. So I cannot watch the chat while I did see that the DOA is in the chat, and he does wield the mighty wrench, and I'm hoping he can stick around a little bit while I do this, because we're gonna go by the Frontier Days festival here. Check it out, see what's going on this morning, and then we're gonna go for a hike. And while I'm hiking, I can probably monitor the chat a little bit. But I gotta say, like I was in DOA's up on panel yesterday, and nobody came in and said I was gross or anything like that. I wonder what happened. Kind of interesting. Dylan Gill wasn't there. Laura FM wasn't there. Liz Gale wasn't there. All trying to shut me down. Does that mean I won? Like I won, they lost? David B., how do you do wielding the mighty wrench? Okay, I feel safe, you guys. I feel like I can ride through the streets of Cheyenne, Wyoming and rant my ass off because I got backup, baby. So let's see here. How do I get to Frontier Days? Let's see. That would be Lions Park. So I'm gonna go. Do you see this Sinclair gas station here? You remember, like back when I was a kid, they were everywhere in Illinois. With the dinosaur, you know? Well, they're based in Wyoming, Sinclair, Wyoming. And they have the best gas in the world. You know, sometimes you don't know, what you're getting in your gas tank, but this 21-year-old bankruptcy truck runs like a top on this gas. And I'm not kidding. I've tested it out. It is a very good, high quality gas. And it's fresh and clean right here. Probably created, milked, and pasteurized right here in Wyoming. I mean, in Cheyenne. Sorry, because there's a big Cheyenne thing. So let's see here. This is an area. It's like the seedy part of. This is only a town of 60,000 people, but this is the seedy part, and there's a coin shop right there that I've been in. It's had lots of murders, that have occurred in that coin shop, and the the security is just kind of interesting. There's a big pit bull asleep behind the desk, and the guy's wearing a huge 6-shooter 357 Magnum, silver. And he's just the friendliest dude ever. All right. So is Carrie gonna get me there? No, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take. See, you can see that the streets they're usually emptier than this, and people are beginning to gather here for Frontier Days, and it's a Monday morning, so it's a little slow. But this is the Plains Hotel. It's supposed to be haunted, like people that stay there say they regularly see people. They wake them up in the hotel rooms. And you know why? It used to be a funeral parlor. It used to be like the place where, when there were all the Indian wars and everything, the dead bodies, they would be picked up off the battlefields and taken here to Cheyenne for processing. And so it was like one of the biggest business draws here in Cheyenne at the beginning, the funeral industry, because there was a lot of killing and death all around. And this was the only place to take care of the bodies. And it had the railroad that brought the dead bodies into this place, and they processed them in that hotel, in the Plains Hotel. Kind of fun. Okay, so also yesterday, I listened to Nora's latest live, where she talks about Gerry Armstrong, and she said, I'm confused about Alonso's interview of Gerry. Now let me just get this right. And she says, it's my understanding that Gerry won $800,000 and signed off on that whole agreement, And then he broke the agreement by continuing to exercise his First Amendment rights and speak about his own religious experience. Sorry, I put it that way. Okay, Nora didn't put it that way. Nora said he broke the agreement. So I'm confused. So I'm gonna do a live in a couple days after I coordinate with Gerry and Caroline, where I will address this confusion of Nora's that comes from Jeffrey Augustine. Okay, for 20 years, Jeffrey Augustine has been sending out back channel emails talking about how Gerry went against. I mean, it's basically what the Church of Scientology would once said about Gerry Armstrong, right? That he didn't ever comply with the agreement that he signed, this court injunction or whatever we call that, and therefore, Gerry is this and that, right? And so Jeffrey Augustine, another person who is, letting us know who needs to be in the community and who doesn't need to be in the community, is telling us, what we need to be confused about with regard to Gerry Armstrong. So that should be fun. That should be fun. I'm going to clear up. I'm sure that there's a misunderstood word somewhere in Nora's mind regarding this, because all confusions come from misunderstood words. And because Nora was the #1 word clearer in the world, okay, she would know that if she had her own confusion, she should crack open a dictionary and start clearing words to get rid of her confusion. So, I kind of like this driving around ranting thing, but the problem with me is that I don't know where I'm going. Once I start ranting, my eyes seem to shut off. It's similar to when I play drums and I try to sing. My arms, if I'm singing, I can either focus singing into the microphone or playing drums. I cannot do both. I do not know how anyone does both. And it's a good thing that I can't sing anyway, because that would have killed off my Phil Collins career. It was killed off anyway. Okay, here we go. We're getting close. This is Frontier Park, Lions Park. There's a section here where there are real Indians, okay? Real Indians, and they're doing real stuff here. And when I first got here, I was just completely, that's right, Cheyenne, because I cannot. So, I was just completely in awe of, wow, man, real Indians. There's real Indians here. Because I studied all about him in college, in my archaeology and anthropology classes. But I'd never, in central Illinois in the cornfields, it was very rare to touch a real Indian. And I found, okay, I've gone through the ringer about what to call Indians, okay? Back when I was in college and we were studying it was all Native American. We were calling it Indians, and then we had to call them Native Americans. Okay, that's what they are, Native Americans. And then it became the indigenous. And I'm on Facebook in all these Native American groups, and it turns out, many Native Americans, they don't speak for all Native Americans, of course, but many Native Americans like the term Indian because it doesn't mean Indian. It doesn't mean what Columbus, made the mistake with. It means, I think he explained it as someone from God, Indian, someone from God, or people of God, or something like that. 4 tribes here. Yeah, just part of life. Yeah, it for me, yeah, right down there is where the Native American exhibit is. The first year I was here, the governor of Wyoming, did this big dance with the chief of the Lakota here. And it was very interesting. See here, this is where all the parking for the rodeos are. And rodeos are a big deal here. This is the show. Like, if you're an actor, you go to LA or New York. If you're a geologist, you go to Wyoming. If you're a rodeo guy, you come to Cheyenne for Frontier Days. Freaking geologists, man. Once again, the reason I was so pissed off about geologists in Scotty's chat the other day was because this is where all the geologists come, is Wyoming. This is Broadway for geology, Wyoming. And I got to tell you, you walk out and you just look around. Like in my front yard, I got quartz, all different types of quartz. I got all these wild rocks. And I just love it here for that reason. Okay, road closed. Thank you. See, I'm just talking, man. I don't know where I'm going. I'm probably going to get in a wreck because my eyes shut off while my mouth is going. See, here we go. Here we go. There they are. Front Cheyenne Frontier Days. Got all the porta potties there. Yeah, I'm coming back, and I'll take y'all with me when I do. Rodeo contestants use gate 10 only. Yeah. Horses. Oh, shit. Rodeo horses. All up against their trailers and stuff. Getting ready for the rodeo. Okay, I'm gonna have to put this back on my freaking thing. See, this never happened before. Who would have thought it would happen today? So now I'm just hand holding. I wonder if the DOA does this. Does the DOA ever just hand hold while he drives? Because I'm copying everything the DOA does. Monkey see, monkey do. That's me. Here's an actual golf course. It's like one of the few golf courses in Wyoming because you know what? Wyoming, cowboys just really are golfers unless there's a bunch of whiskey available, I think. Is that gonna... I do not know. Okay. All right. Local tribes. Yeah, the northwestern tribes. Yeah. Very different. I mean, this is one of the, I kind of learned it in college when I was studying Native American stuff. But I didn't really learn it until I started talking to some real Native Americans, and I'm talking to them about something that the Lakota, believed in or practiced as a custom. And this guy is, Arapaho, and they weren't really very compatible, and they're very, very different, And I really learned as a white kid from the cornfields, I learned that these are people. These are people who are completely different all across the United States. Thousands of completely different cultures. And yet the human mind seems to just have this one category and it fits them all into that one category. And as long as they're in that little boxed category, they're all the same. And they're just, human beings. Just like, all the different, like how much Christianity broke up into pieces, tons and tons of little pieces. All humans do that. And it's where cults come from. By Cowley. Isn't that weird? Cults seem to be a natural part of the human species. So weird. VIP parking, y'all. Only $25. You bet. You bet. $25 to park my bankruptcy truck. No thanks. Teepees. This is the edge of the Native American one. And they've got a bunch of Native American vendors. See, I'm calling them Native American. Indian vendors. Well, it's not Indian food. Like Red Dot Indian food. It's Native American Indian food. Okay, so now we're going to go hiking. If you want to go hiking with me, you can. I said crusade. I did say crusade, Patty. I have, how can a person be alive and not on some kind of a crusade? That's what life as a human is all about, isn't it? Yeah, it's going to be a big, hot Frontiers Days day today. The quintessential Frontier Day. It's going to make everybody happy. Here's the other thing that happens around my house. I don't live, there aren't slums really in Cheyenne. I just live in a petite bourgeoisie area, lower middle class area, and everybody's just like me, basically old white boomers. And during Frontier Days, because Cheyenne is like the crossroads between the 25, which is a highway that goes from Canada all the way down to Mexico, and the 80, which is a highway that goes all the way from Massachusetts to Oregon, Oregon. There's huge crossroads right here. So there are, what I've been told by other lower middle class white boomers, there are transients that come to Cheyenne, especially during Frontier Days. So you see all kinds of stuff go on in town that you just don't see at any other time of the year. And last year, I'm coming through my alley, I'm about to park, and there's this guy and this girl leaning up against the back of my house on this little patch of grass next to the alley. And they're kind of making out. It's, middle of the day. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And I've never been confronted with anything like this before. And I didn't know really what to do. And so I just got out of my truck and went into my house, and then I just sat there and went, okay, there's this guy and this girl up against the back wall of my house, actually up against the back wall of my bedroom, and I don't know what they're doing there. And so I come out and I come around and I talk to him and I say, hey, wait, how's it going? Pretty good. I go, wait, what are you guys doing? Well, we're just resting. We're resting, and they are fucking high as a kite. Like, their eyes are just slits, and they are just gone. And I said, okay, you're resting. Yeah. Well, okay. All right. Have a good rest. I didn't pick up any kind of danger or anything from them or anything like that. And I just let them rest there. And about 3 hours later, I come out and get my truck again, and they're still there. And so I pulled out my truck, rolled down the window, and I said, hey, so I've never really, had this situation happen to me before. but this is my house, and you're leaning up against it, and I don't know, it's kind of freaking me out. they said, they said, uh, they said it's okay. We're going to be going. We'll be going here soon. I said, all right, whatever. Have fun. Have a good day. And I took off down the alley again. But this is the kind of thing that happens in Cheyenne during Frontier Days. There's Frontier Days bingo, okay, where there's these cards that people hand out, the things that you are going to see during Frontier Days here in Cheyenne, and you mark them off. This is the hospital. I spent 2 days here, and it absolutely destroyed me. Spending the 2 days here. We have the greatest medical system in the world here in the United States. Okay, so I'm headed back to my house, past my house, down into the place where I go hiking. There's Walmart bingo. And this area, I'll give you the full tour of it. It is it has a railroad, which is part of Wyoming. It also has a petroleum refinery center, also part of Wyoming. And then it has lots of grass and other stuff, anthills, like big anthills that will make everything sting. And it has jackrabbits and no antelope here in the city though. Came into downtown Cheyenne because it was following this creek, and moose will just go and go. They'll keep their nose and their head down, and they're just like sifting through the swampy, moorish type water areas. It's like a shopping mall to them. And people said he got to like the middle of downtown where the concrete started, and he looked up, and there's all these people looking. Of course, kids don't. You really don't. The rattlesnakes are to the northeast in the grass. There's areas, my neighbor tells me, where he will never go walking because there's probably a rattlesnake every foot, 5 feet, something like that, just completely infested. And then, there's people that are rattlesnake salesmen as well here in Cheyenne and throughout this area. It's big business, rattlesnakes. Here. I thought to get a rattlesnake salesman as a client. It'd be fantastic. We shall see. Okay, let's see. Am I going to go? No, I'm going to go this way. See, this is the Firebird Motel Hotel. And you can see this place was hopping in the 1930s. 30s, 40s, 50s. But since then, I think Pinche Becky could do a good business here as a harm reduction specialist.